every baseball season, there's like, I don't know, 5, 7, maybe 8, 9, 10 games where you just sit there and go, we're not winning. Just baseball's not letting this happen. Can't get anything right. It's just not our game. There's always a handful of those. For me, today felt like one of those games, and yet the Seattle Mariners found a way to pull this one out and get a very, very nice and huge W today. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome into Seattle Mariners postgame recap. Mariners defeat the Blue Jays this afternoon 8-4 in 12 innings. They improved to 11-10 on the season, and they'll go for their their fourth straight series win tomorrow afternoon. Before I go any further, as always, do me a favor, hit that like button, comment your thoughts on the game and the team down below. The like button just helps the video get out to more people. And if you're new or lurking, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. My goal is to get to 5,000 subs this year. So thank you to everybody. Again, I appreciate the continued support. But yeah, and maybe it's just me, but there's always a handful of games each season where I'm like, they're just not winning. And sometimes it's the other way. Sometimes there's games where it's like, they're winning this. This just feels like a win. That Sunday night baseball game last year against the Mets, it just felt like they were going to win that game. They'd won the first two, blown them out. They were going to get game 3 of that series. Today just felt like one of the games where, and it kind of played out like that, right? Jays get that first inning run like they did yesterday. Even when the Mariners take the lead on the Cal Raleigh 2-run double in the 5th inning, what happens? The Blue Jays come right back and tied up. Then they get the go-ahead run in the 6th. Then they get the first 2 on in the 9th. Then the Mariners can't do anything in the 10th and the 11th. In Cincinnati, it just felt like they were going to come back from deficits. I'm not saying I thought they'd come back in that 9th inning, but it just felt like a series they would win. I don't know. I don't know what it is. And I clearly, I'm wrong because they won today, but like, there's just something about certain games that just give off that vibe. And for me, it really feels like they kind of stole one today because watching it, at no point did I feel really confident they were going to win that game until Rowdy hit the grand slam. And it's not like me being pessimistic. I'm a pretty optimistic person by nature, and I wasn't sitting there going, oh, this is over, they have no chance, but I just didn't have that good feel. And they found a way. So I guess in Jay's book, they kind of stole a victory today. And great to see, yesterday, another good bounce back, right? Talked about how, game 1 of that Red series didn't bother me too much. You can still have the series win right in front of you. Kind of the same thing here. Yesterday was frustrating with the base running miscues, but you've still got a series win right in front of you if you can find a way to win the next 2. And here we are, right? We're going into Sunday. The Mariners do have a chance to win this series. They continue a pretty successful road trip here. They're 3-2. Cincinnati, Toronto, Boston. Again, I will maintain that is not an easy 9-game road trip. And if they can go 2-2 the rest of the way, they're going to come out of this 5-4. Now that 2-2 is going to be easier said than done. Tomorrow is going to be a tough game. Then you've got Crochet. You've got to play in Boston. So, it's not locked, set in stone that they're going to do that. But I think we've got to feel pretty good, right? And then the team comes home from Miami and LA, the Angels, 2 teams the Mariners did struggle with last year, so nothing's guaranteed. But if you can come home over 500, I think everyone's going to feel pretty good about where this team is at and a chance to do some damage, potentially, on this next homestand here. So, just another kind of gritty win for this team, kind of winning some games that they didn't win last year, winning more of those games that they won in 2021 and then 22 when they got to the playoffs, just kind of finding a way to get through and get it done. And even, a little chaos ball, right? Like kind of what this team was known for. And I'm not saying that I want it to be chaotic every game. I would love a few 12-0 wins, but those are rare, right? The reason those are so great is they don't happen very often. So this team is definitely taking years off my life with a lot of early April extra inning games. But, they're finding a way to get it done in tough situations. So it's certainly going to help. And listen, how many times we talk now, without a game 163, tiebreakers matter. And, they can win tomorrow. They're up 2-1 on the Blue Jays, who are a team that could be in that wild card mix if the Mariners aren't in the AL West mix and in the wild card mix or seeding wise. So any wins you can get over these AL teams is nice. Houston and Texas, same way. They're 2-1 versus Houston, 3-0 versus Texas. So any little advantage you can have, helps the team as well. And it hasn't really come back to bite them, but, they've had some times where they haven't had those tiebreakers. So they don't have them yet now either, but, a good start into that as well. And, how about Rowdy Tellez with the big grand slam there in the 12th inning? Talked about it a little bit yesterday. Rowdy can get really streaky and can just start running into the long ball. And hopefully we're just in one of those stretches. I don't think Rowdy's, the best player of all time or anything, but he can get hot for a couple weeks and go pretty homer happy. And now we've seen 3 home runs from him in the last week total. So, starting to at least give some production from that first base position, which has been a big black hole this season for the Mariners. They've gotten nothing out of Donovan Solano. At least Rowdy's given them something, right? At least he's coming up to the plate and you're going, he's got the power to take one out. And that does matter, right? Like, I'm not against guys that don't hit home runs and can put the ball in play and just make things happen. That can work. But, when Rowdy Tellez comes up, it's kind of why I liked keeping him, even if it's just as a bench bat, because he can run into him. Perfect example is today. Randy gets the big clutch base hit in the 12th. It's 4-3. I don't know. I didn't think 4-3 would hold up, right? Like it was just kind of one of those games where he felt like the Jays would move the runner over and then, get a grounder through and tie the game up. So that was a big at bat. And I'm sitting there like, one, it was 3-2. So I was kind of hoping for a walk. And then it's like, hey, there is a chance Rowdy can just run into one. And that's what he did and just absolutely crushed it out there to right field. And like I said, Randy Rosarena deserves some credit for his at bat in that inning as well. So a tremendous finish. And then, getting to use Casey Lawrence to finish it off helps save the bullpen a little bit too. So, a gritty win for this ball club. And they continue to kind of have that little bit of fight that I feel like they've maybe been missing. And maybe that's just me, but I don't know. The team feels a little gutsier, grittier. I don't know what the word would be, but there seems to be a little bit more belief. And hopefully that's something that Dan has got these guys buying in and, it's helping and they're pulling out some of these close games that they seem to struggle in a little bit last year. Or it could just be baseball, and sometimes baseball happens. Sometimes you win them, sometimes you don't. But Mariners did get the win today. So let's dive in to the box score. Let's start with the pitching, as we always do. Logan Gilbert, 4 2/3, 7 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 2 walks, 9 Ks. Kind of an odd start for Logan. Like, I thought he was fine. 9 strikeouts is fantastic. Would certainly like to see him going deeper in the game. It just feels like the Blue Jays really in these first 2 games, again, they've only scored 7 runs, but man, I feel like they've had traffic every inning. Like there has there been a 1-2-3 inning in this series for the Mariners pitching? I think Logan may have had one today and Wu maybe at the end of his start yesterday had a couple. But it feels very few and far between. So I really don't know what to make of it. I didn't think the Jays were like crushing Logan or anything like that. They were just kind of getting some balls through and working some deep counts. And unfortunately, that prevented Logan from going too deep into the game. Tried to get him through that 5th to get him in line for the win. I don't think that was the reasoning for getting him through the 5th. I think the hope was to get that lead and then get him, then turn it over to the bullpen in the 6th inning. But Logan just couldn't get out of that 5th. So not an A+ start from Logan. Anytime your starter goes 4 2/3, not gonna be an A+, but I give it like a B- type start today. The stuff was fine. It's just unfortunate one of those starts where he couldn't get very deep in the game. That has been a bit of a problem for the Mariners starters. I mean, Brian Wu did fine yesterday with 7 innings, but before that, Emerson Hancock 5 innings. That was more coach's decision. But Bryce Miller 5. I guess that was coach decision too a little bit, but still, right? It's still that they didn't go super deep into the game. Castillo only goes 4 the start before that. In Texas, I think Logan only went 5 or 6 in that game in his previous start. Brian Wu went 6 before that, then Bryce was 5. So they're not getting as many of those 6-7 inning starts, regardless of maybe it's just for them managing the workload or for whatever reason, or, just the Blue Jays fouling off pitches and putting base runners on every inning. The Mariners stars have not been going super deep into the games. That's been taxing this bullpen, which, is hit or miss, right? There's been some good moments from this bullpen. It's definitely got arms that are legit down there and can get strikeouts and get you through some tough situations, but they're not, they're iffy, right? There's just moments where they're not on their game as well. So the Stars need to go a little bit deeper into the games. I'm not blaming Logan for it. It happens. But it'd be nice to see some more consistent 6-7 inning starts. And I think it will happen. It's not that I'm too worried about. There's no reason that won't be Logan Gilbert here, his next start out or after that. There's no reason Luis Castillo won't be going 6-7 innings. Same with Bryce. And we saw Brian Wu go 7 in his last start. And, hopefully George Kirby, haven't heard anything on that, which makes me a little nervous, but hopefully when Kirby's back, would like to be getting some George Kirby updates. I will say that, would like to see him starting a rehab assignment here, hopefully fairly soon. But yeah, I'm not worried about it from the starters, but it is something that has happened. They've not been going super deep into these games this season. It's put a lot of pressure on the bullpen and forced a lot of roster decisions too. And like I said, it's not something I think is just all the starters' fault. I think, the other teams are out there trying to win the ball game too, and they're putting pressure on, but it's not something I'm really worried about either. Colin Snyder throws an inning and a third, 2 hits, 1 run. It was earned and a strikeout. That was I think, Bichette single that made it 3-2 in the 6th inning there. Casey Legumina continues to pitch well through a shutout inning with a walk and a strikeout. Nice job by Carlos Vargas. 2 innings, gives up 3 hits, no runs, no walks, no Ks. Pitched a good 8th inning, was really quick. Dan sent him back out there for the 9th. First 2 batters reached, and I thought, here we go. This is where the game's going to end, but a nice job there by Vargas to get out of that and keep the Mariners, give them a chance going into extra innings. Command control looked much better today. Nice little rebound from Vargas after a tough outing on Thursday in Cincinnati. I was a little bit nervous because that was kind of the Vargas that everybody, was warning, people about, like, this is the guy that doesn't have good command control. And then he comes out today and finds it. Didn't get any strikeouts, but the Jays don't strike out a lot as a team too. So remember that when the strikeouts are a little bit down. Logan was fantastic. He dialed up 9 Ks. But this is a Blue Jays team that I think is like dead last in striking out. I should say first. Dead last would imply bad. They're first in strikeout rate in baseball, so not going to get too worried about that. So nice bounce back from Vargas. Also a nice bounce back from Bizzardo. Pitches a clean 10th inning, gives the Mariners a chance going to the 11th. No walks, no hits, no strikeouts. So good on both of them, right? That they struggled a little bit Thursday. They bounced back today. Really good to see from Vargas and Bizzardo. Andres Munoz was dominant in his 11th inning. I think had the game been close, Dan may have kept him out there for a 2nd inning if it had just been 4-3. But then thankfully Rowdy adds on the home run and allows Casey Lawrence to pitch a shutout 9th. And Lawrence does what he needs to do, right? He gets quick outs and, you can move on. So nice job by Casey Lawrence. And, on top of Rowdy's grand slam just being awesome that it opened the game wide open, it also probably allows you to have Andres Munoz for tomorrow if you need him. I would imagine Spire, Munoz, Thornton, maybe even Legumina if they need it, all good to go. Vargas probably down. Maybe you have Bizzardo, but, still in pretty good shape with the bullpen tomorrow. So another big reason for that Tellez home run. But bullpen absolutely does its job today. A nice performance from them. I don't know, did they walk anybody? They did walk 2 and struck out 3. Overall, I think one of those walks may have been intentional. I don't quite remember. But great job by the bullpen. Then I thought Logan was fine. I did. I thought Logan was fine. Just threw a lot of pitches. But it wasn't from a lot of walks or anything like that. It was just the Jays putting the ball in play, finding holes, and then, fouling off pitches. And you hate when that happens, but it does happen sometimes. So certainly not worried about Logan going forward. Let's look at the offense. 10 hits, 8 runs, 8 walks today. It took them a while to get going, right? It was one swing of that bat in the 12th inning that opened it up, but they do put up 8 more runs today, right? Like, I don't want to ever be like, oh, well, they didn't get the 8 runs the right way because they scored them all late. And who cares? They put up 8. That was 4 more than Toronto put up. This, in my mind, is a good offensive performance. Even when they were scuffling a little bit, they still found a way to get their 3 runs in there and everything like that. So, again, like, were there things they could have done better? Yeah, there wasn't a lot of hard contact early on. I thought Barrios was really holding them in check, but they found a way. They found a way to get it done, and the offense continues to be fairly impressive this year. Even yesterday, I didn't think was terrible. It wasn't great, but most of it was just on the base pass. It's amazing what happens when you don't make a ton of outs on the base pass. So let's get into the offensive box score. Miles Mastrobuoni started in right field and led off. He was 0 for 2. Julio ended up pinch hitting for him against a lefty. Right call. He goes 1 for 3, had a base hit, I think, in the ninth inning. Jorge Polanco was 0 for 3. Mitch Garver pinched hit. Mitch 1 for 2, got a base hit, take it. I'm really looking forward to Jorge Polanco being able to swing the bat right-handed because, my gosh, it feels like Mitch Garver is up in every late game in a tough situation. I mean, am I wrong on that? Or is like every late game at bat, it's like, oh, Mariners need a big hit here. Who's coming up? Garver's up. Okay, come on, Mitch. Come on, come through. I don't know. I'm we got a hit today. Last 4 at-bats, he's reached base twice, single and a walk. Again, you'd like to see something in the gap here eventually, but Mariners got a big win today, so I'm not going to harp on it too much, but let's just say I'm looking forward to Polanco being able to swing the bat right-handed. Leo Rivas pinch ran for Garver. He had a crucial at-bat in the 12th inning, and he walked. I thought that was a really low-key, solid at-bat for Leo Rivas, and he spat on a pretty good 3-2 pitch in that inning as well. So a nice at-bat in the one he got by Leo Rivas. Shout out to him. Cal Raleigh, 2 for 3, 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and 3 walks. Cal on base 5 times today. Didn't get the home run, but continues to torment Toronto. Big 2-run double in the 5th for Cal, and they wanted to have nothing to do with him in extra innings and walked him. Then he had, I believe, kind of like an infield hit earlier in the game as well. And then, interesting, Cal and Jose Barrios were barking at each other a little bit after one of the innings, and Cal was stranded at second. And I guess it came out after the Barrios thought Cal was stealing signs, essentially, from Barrios and whatnot. But I think it was more Barrios tipping his pitches. And listen, I am not for sign stealing if you're using, binoculars and stuff like that. But if Cal can pick up on something that Barrios is doing, then I'm sorry, Barrios, that's part of baseball, right? Like, he also, when Barrios pitches, he kind of holds the ball out there almost very open. So there's something Cal can pick up on that. And I think he takes that out of his glove very far back. I'd have to watch him, again, I can't think of it just in my head right now. But if there's something Cal can pick up on that's baseball. If Cal can look back at, Luke Raley batting and just be like, hey, like hold up a 2, like he's throwing a breaking ball, then that's on Barrios to figure that out. That is baseball. It's like in football. If you know that it's going to be a run play because a guard is leaning a certain way, that's not cheating. That's picking up on tells that players have. Again, cheating would be, doing video cameras and stuff like that. So, I get it. I get Barrios being frustrated by it for sure. But that's baseball. That's fine. If you can pick up on something that other teams do, that's giving you advantage. And if that's something Barrios struggles with and you can pick up his grip or whatever it may be, then that's something he's going to have to work on. That's not Cal's problem. So I just want to give my take on that for sure. Randy Arozarena, 1 for 6 today. Only one, but it was a good one, right? If I always say if you're only going to get one hit a game, make it a big one. And technically, Randy did have the game. Well, it wouldn't have been the game winner because the Jays did score 1 at the bottom of the 12th. May have played out differently because I don't think Casey Lawrence would have pitched, but a big clutch single there for Randy Arozarena. Luke Raley was 0 for 3, but he was on base 3 times with 3 walks. So Cal and Luke each with 3 walks today. Rowdy Tellez, another one hit, but man, he made it count. I almost said a 4-run home run, a grand slam, his 3rd of the year. Great to see from Rowdy. Like I said, man, when he hits them, ball go far. I will say that his 2 home runs in this series have been crushed. So doing against his old mates too. So good to see. He probably won't be in there tomorrow against the lefty, but nice to see some contributions from the big man and the first base position. I thought that collision at first base was funny. Almost felt like Rowdy's a little frustrated. It was, who was it for the Blue Jays? Rodin ran into Rowdy and just kind of fell down at first base. And Rowdy was standing over him like a linebacker, like, dude, what are you doing? And I don't know if you guys caught in the post game, they interviewed Rowdy Tellez, Brad Adam or whoever it was interviewed him. And they asked him if Rowdy even felt that when Rodin hit him. And he just went, no. It was a little like smugness. I kind of liked it. I don't know. I think the Jays have been kind of pesty this series. I don't know if it's kind of driving the Mariners nuts, but and then when Rodin ran into Rowdy and fell down, if you saw, Rowdy just goes over and kind of tags him while he's down. So I don't know if it was just the way it played out, but it kind of looked like the Mariners didn't give a single you-know-what that he had just run into someone and kind of almost gotten hurt. I'm all for good sportsmanship and stuff, but it looked like the Mariners were having none of that this afternoon. So a nice game from Rowdy for sure. Dylan Moore was 1 for 6. How about Ben Williamson? I should have talked about that earlier. 2 for 6, a double, and his first major league home run. That was not a cheap home run either. He got that pretty good. This is a guy that has like 5 career minor league home runs, and he gets into one and puts out the ballpark and a double as well. Like, I'm not saying Ben Williamson's going to hit 20 home runs, but man, he looks the part, right? And it didn't look like I said, it wasn't a cheap home run. And when you watch him swing, it doesn't look like someone that's overwhelmed by major league pitching. I cannot say enough good things about Ben Williamson. Really hope he sticks. And sometimes scouts miss. Listen, it's been like 5 games. We should not be judging taking any conclusions on Williamson yet. But scouts do miss, right? Like, scouts would have told you Jared Kelenic was going to be an all-star. He's still hitting 130 in Atlanta. Had been awful. Like, sometimes they miss. Sometimes they're just wrong on the tools. Maybe, and again, I'm not saying like Ben Williamson's going to be Aaron Judge, but he might be able to give you a 715 OPS. And if he can do that in T-Mobile with his defense, you have got an everyday third baseman, in my opinion. So great for Ben Williamson. Super happy for him. Glad he got the ball back as well. That was awesome to see. And JP 1 for 4 with a walk and 2 runs scored. As I continue to say with JP at the bottom of the order, you can reach base twice, find a way to do that, doing good things. So, another nice offensive performance for the Mariners. And, I thought the pitching was good. You'd love to see Logan go a little bit deeper, but that'll happen here once he settles in a bit. So just fun, right? It's been fun. Ever since that Astros walk-off win, this team has been fun to watch. And no shock, they've been 7-2 over that stretch. And when you win, it is a lot more fun. But that confidence is starting to come back. Even when I turn on the game, it's like I'm excited. I'm not dreading turning it on. That could change. There's going to be bad stretches. Guys, gals, they will go on a losing streak at some point. But you hope you do enough that losing streak doesn't kill you, right? They're going to get swept somewhere, but the hope is they turn around and sweep somebody else to make up for it. So hopefully they get a series win tomorrow. Luis Castillo, hopefully a bounce back start. And boy, if they can get that series win tomorrow, the series in Boston, you never want to take your foot off the gas or anything like that. But kind of if they can win tomorrow and then just survive Boston and get that series out of the way, because that is always a house of horrors for the Mariners. So a great win today. I'll be back. It'll be much later tomorrow night, but I will have tomorrow night's. Oh my gosh, it'll be much later tomorrow night, but I will have tomorrow's post-game recap up. I am butchering this. I have got people laughing in the background. Tomorrow's Easter. I will be with my family, so the post-game recap will be up very late tomorrow. Boom, there. Got it out. Have a great night, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, go Mariners. Peace.